All right, hey guys, we're here with Cody and Lana Forster, and I thought these would be a real neat couple to interview for the State of the Church address coming up. And Cody and Lana, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. As I, as I think through the church family and some of the couples that I've seen change in. I mean, you guys are one of the ones that come to my mind. I mean, I can remember last year when, it was, Lana, it was basically just you coming to church by yourself. And, Cody was off doing Cody stuff. So, but you guys have just changed a lot. I think God has really worked in your heart a lot over the last year. You both are not just, it's more than just coming to church. You both are very active in the church now. You both are serving. Cody, you're getting ready to lead your second life group. You guys have just done a complete turnabout in your spiritual life. So, do you kind of recognize that change?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We can feel it in the home.
Okay, good. What are some ways that you feel like, as you look at your individual life, your spiritual life, and just life in general, what are some of the ways that you feel like God has changed you over the last year?
My biggest one is giving me perspective as what's going on and more into his love for me individually, and where he got me going. He started blocking all of my paths for everything that I ever got, whether it was a need or I guess work, just different areas. He started putting his hand on and shutting them off. And I'll never forget being so frustrated. I think before I ever went to the men's encounter, I wasn't going to go, but I got drove around for about 4 hours that night. I was so mad. I could not get anything done. The cycle was just, in every area there was a cycle that was round and round and round. And it finally broke. And he got me to that point to show me that I could do absolutely nothing without him. So, and he hit me hard enough to where he put me in the right spot to listen. And it moved from my head to my heart then. So
good. What about you, Lana?
I noticed the biggest change is that I feel God now. As far as perspective of a mother, I always I felt like I needed to be the mother that I thought I should be. He's definitely changed my heart in that aspect. As far as being the mother, he has called me to be for each of my children specifically. And I remember when I felt that, when I was convicted of, it's not about me and how I feel that I should mother my kids. It's biblically what God expects me to do or what he wants me to do, and just a change that's come about even in my relationship with Landry and each of my kids specifically, because I prayed specifically, who do I need to be for each of them, and he's definitely changed me in that area, and also as a wife, and what it means to put God in the center of your marriage. Like Cody was talking about a cycle. There were different things, I guess, because we looked to each other I expected Cody to meet my needs, and he the same for me. And we'd always end up in this cycle of anger, disappointment, frustration, that we would always always look at each other and say,
we'll
be right back here in 2 months, how are we going to solve this? What are we going to do to fix it? We asked each other that many, many times, and we don't have that cycle in our home anymore.
Because we never could figure out the answer. I mean, and that
he
was,
definitely showed us
Yeah.
what the answer is.
It's kind of interesting how, we go through life and, I can speak as a husband and a father and, of course, as a pastor, and you think that, like I know what it means to be a pastor. I know what it means to be a father, and I know how to do that well. And then we try to do all these things that we think, this is the right way. And then when you really get to where you're humble enough, I guess, to finally kind of say, okay, God, you teach me. I don't know, so you teach me. And then, the fruit of that is usually pretty good stuff. You think, wow, this is a very rewarding relationship. Would you guys say that your marriage is more rewarding now than?
Very much so.
it's always defensive before, first reaction out of each of us, I guess, was pull back. Well, I ain't getting what I'm wanting, and I ain't getting what I'm wanting. Well, I mean, it just wound up.
And it's easy.
It's natural.
Yes.
It's natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it just comes very easy and naturally now, and it's not a struggle. It's not a fight.
Well, and that end result of not being able to fix it, or not being able to, I guess, move beyond that to come back around to it. I mean, it's, I don't know how else to explain it, but I mean, it just goes right through that. The answer comes, whether through church or whether through something we hear, or, whether we take a break and realize that it ain't about us.
Yeah.
And I think the lack of self that's in the home now compared to what it was before is, I mean, you could feel it. And just walking into our home, I mean, it feels, safe. I mean, it just feels like you can let your guard down instead of walking through the door.
Do you think your kids noticed a change in your life and your relationship?
Landry's very methodical. I mean, she's got to have her pattern, and she's got to have that atmosphere of learning, and she can tell, when somebody's stressful.
Upset.
I mean, she can pick up on it, and that just throws her into another pattern. But I mean, the last year or 6-8 months, I mean, she's just she's leveled right out.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there's different, I think God works on our hearts, for different people, different ways, different circumstances. I've always liked the image of the Holy Spirit as kind of like the master teacher, and He knows us all better than anyone, and He can communicate to us all individually in a way that kind of connects with us and that we get it. So as you think through, like if someone asked you, well, what happened? I mean, your marriage was this, and now it's this, and your life was this, and now it's this. I mean, what happened? What was that process, or what brought about that change?
Mine's the question of why. I mean, I've got to know. In my head, I try to figure out why something's going on, and I never could figure out why we would always go back and forth through the cycle, any kind of cycle that we had. And God slowly started showing me the perspective of why that cycle takes place, what keeps you in that cycle, and and in that you figure out, hey, if I take me and my selfishness out, the cycle levels off, and how Satan tries to keep you in that cycle, because then you're not effective for God, and you pollute your testimony and your witness to others by being in that.
So for you, would you think it would be accurate to say that it was really about you coming to understand that it was more of Cody on the throne than really Christ on the throne?
Yeah, and the other big thing, I knew God forgave me, but I didn't know He forgave me. And for me, what kept me, I think, from the church the most was the guilt, the shame, humiliation, everything that I knew I was, because I had been shown who I am, but I still honestly thought, I needed to get better. I needed to, if I do it a year or two, I'll have it figured out, and then I can go to church.
Yeah.
Same thing with the baptism. I waited 15 years just to turn around and figure out I still can't do it now, and I couldn't do it
Yeah.
again. And getting rid of that shame and humiliation and all that to be able to come and sit at a place that's full of sinners just like me, you know,
Mhm.
and that was the biggest thing to get me there.
Good. What about you, Lana?
Well, and I mean, I think that a lot of what brought on part of the change in me is watching Cody change, and watching his heart follow Christ. Something that I
Because I was a big cause of a lot of the, you know, just the tension and the stress because I couldn't get anything figured out, you know, so she
I think-
was,
no, but it was something that I prayed for a long time specifically. But it was a selfish prayer, I figured out, for me, because it's uncomfortable to walk into church by yourself with your kids. But I did figure out eventually that that was a selfish prayer that I was praying on my own. But then also to see the change in our home, you know, right before my eyes, that's what I guess changed my heart the most, was watching your change and what it did for our home, our marriage.
Yeah.
All
I think
different things.
you guys, especially you, Cody, would be a good testimony for the Authentic Manhood series coming up. I mean, you know, you've always heard that if you can capture the heart of the father or of the man of the home, then the home follows suit. The home sees dad changing, and when see dad passionate about something, people kind of follow suit with that.
and Satan attacks that. I mean, he tries to make you very passive. He tries to make you sit still and really not raise your voice because, you know, why would you change something? You know, and he tries to keep you neutral to where your family can just fall along beside you.
Yeah.
And it's a rough place to be.
Yeah. Now, you know, the funny thing is, you know, because I can, you know, I mean, I've visited you some when you lived here in Sublette, and you know, and I think for both of you, a year and a half ago, if I would have came up to you and said, "Hey, are you a Christian? Are you living your life for Christ?" and I think you both would have answered, "Well, yeah. I mean, sure." But now, I mean, very clearly, your spiritual life now is different than it was, you know, year and a half ago, just a few months ago, really. So I know it makes sense for you when I say, you know, there's a difference between just kind of going through life with Christ and then like really going through life with Christ. And what would you say to someone who may be watching this, who is they would affirm Christ, but in their heart Christ is truly not on the throne, and it's more about self, and self comes before Christ in a lot of ways? What would you say to that person?
I'd say to get off the middle, because you're at the worst of both. You're at the point where Satan's got free reign and God's got little voice. And they say, and in Mark it talks about the seed being planted on the ground and then the thorns coming up. Satan's got thorns all over you, you know, and you're not effective for God. You're not effective even really for the devil. You're just you're in neutral, and you're hurting yourself more than you can even imagine. You're not even giving yourself the ability to see God moving because you're stuck. And if you could get out of there and listen to that one voice that says, "Hey, try this. Just do it. Just go with it. Don't worry about any of the negatives that's coming, because that's from Satan to keep you sitting in your seat. Just get up and do it." And I promise you, God will show you Himself through whatever He's asking you to do. And that right there will change everything for you, I promise.
Yeah. Good.
You're definitely missing out on a lot of joy, a lot of peace, and to really know and understand from here to here that freedom,
Yeah.
freedom from your past, freedom from guilt, shame. You're free. He forgave you.
Bought it all.
Forgive yourself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
exactly it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys. One of my greatest joys as a pastor, one of the things that really makes ministry worth it is to see change in people's hearts. And I just want you guys to know that it's very evident, I think, in your heart, in your countenance, just in the way that you respond to one another and to others, that Christ is really doing some change in your heart. And so I'm proud of you guys, and I just want to encourage you to keep pressing in on Christ and keep handing him that lunchbox.
That's right.
All right?
That's right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.